Throughout the 21st century, only 3 rookies have recorded 3 consecutive games with at least 20 points and 2 blocks. Joel Embiid accomplished this feat in December 2016, Victor Wembanyama joined him in November 2023, and now Kel'el Ware has secured his place in history after a standout performance against the Bucks just a few nights ago. In a Miami Heat season defined by turmoil, Ware has emerged as a potential Rookie of the Year favorite, showing flashes of even greater potential. But just how good is he right now, and how great can he become in the future? The bulk of Ware's value comes on the defensive end, particularly in his ability to protect the rim. His physical attributes are remarkable, standing a legitimate 7 feet barefoot with an impressive 7 foot for wingspan. As long as he's in position, it's as if Miami has a wall in front of the basket. Beyond his height and length, Ware is also an exceptional leaper off to feet, capable of reaching the ball in some incredible spots. Not only does he get up high, but he also gets off the floor incredibly quickly. Take this play, for example. Despite being off balance and backpedaling, he swiftly gathers his footing and elevates for a powerful block. Additionally, because Ware can explode off the floor with little to no momentum, he possesses an excellent second jump. This allowed him to stay in position even when he bites on an up fake, often recovering in time to block the shot anyway. Ware's height, length, and verticality already give him a high floor as a shot blocker, but what truly elevates his defensive impact is his exceptional timing. Offensive players struggle to sneak the ball past him from any angle because he intentionally times his jumps to swat shots at their apex. When all of these attributes come together, they give him an absolutely absurd radius as a shot blocker. Take this play, for example. He's stationed under the basket in a zone and ends up completely in the restricted area while Austin Reeves attempts a floater from about 10 feet out. It was called a goaltend, but very few players can even make contact on that shot. Here's another example. Donnie DiVincenzo thinks he has a clear runway to the rim in transition, but look at how far out Ware is when Donnie takes off. His ability to cover ground is truly remarkable. I should also mention that plays like this are possible because of Ware's ability to track the ball with his hands. On this possession, he's fronting Ivica Zubac in the post when Norman Powell drives baseline. Ware spins toward the paint, recognizes that Powell is going for a reverse layup, and perfectly targets the ball for a block. An incredibly impressive read. And when I say he tracks the ball, I mean with both hands. Watch this play, Ware takes off vertically with his right hand up, but as the shooter adjusts his release angle in midair, Ware does the same, swatting it away with his left. His ability to track the ball all the way through its release doesn't just help him block shots. It also allowed him to shut off passing lanes, whether in midair or on the ground. On this play, Ware steps up to contest Mon on a drive and then uses his off-arm to deflect the dump-off pass. A common sight with him is extending one of his long arms to preemptively play a passing lane, and because of his elite ball tracking ability, he can completely erase certain opportunities for the offense. Take this example against a Spain pick and roll, Ware jumps out to the perimeter in a hedge, and with Jimmy Butler staying attached to Devin Booker up top, Jusuf Nurkic is about to free up in the paint. However, Ware instinctively sticks out his left arm and disrupts the pass. His hands are freakishly quick for someone his size, and for a team like Miami whose defense thrives on shutting down passing lanes and generating deflections, he's a perfect fit. Since Ware has only recently started getting serious minutes, it's important to adjust his stats for context. On a per 36-minute scale, he's averaging 2 deflections per game. While that might not sound like an overwhelming number for a paint-oriented big, it's a solid mark comparable to players like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Rudy Gobert. One advantage Ware has over all 3 of those players, though, is his ability to strip ball handlers. You'll often see him backpedaling while a player drives at him, only for him to use his quick hands to cleanly target the ball and force a turnover. However, he's still learning when to take these risks, as more skilled ball handlers can bait him into reaching and drawing fouls. While he does pick up some avoidable whistles, his defensive upside far outweighs the occasional mistakes. The downside is that he's still learning discipline, but the positives far outweigh the negatives. Ware is averaging over 1 steal every 75 possessions, which ranks him in the top 20 among all centers. Of course, that pales in comparison to his shot-blocking ability. He's also averaging nearly 2.5 blocks per 75 possessions, placing him in the 95th percentile in the league. What makes him truly special is the combination of both skills. It's rare to find a big who can both block shots and disrupt plays in passing or ball handling situations. This season, only 3 other players meet or exceed Ware's marks in both steals and blocks per possession with at least 400 minutes played: Goga Bitadze, Jonathan Isaac, and Victor Wembanyama. Now, let's go back to his rim protection, his most dominant defensive skill and arguably his greatest strength as a player. For the Heat, the primary defensive focus is keeping him as close to the basket as possible. That often means using him as the low man, allowing him to make reads from the baseline, tag potential threats, and clean up mistakes. More than just blocking shots, Ware excels at deterring them. Opponents think twice before attacking the rim when he's in position. His activity and movement patterns behind the play are also impressive. He quickly recognizes threats, gets into position, and does so without overcommitting to the paint and giving up open corner looks. He also has a strong grasp of Miami's defensive scheme, which is highly shift-heavy. The Heat frequently send defenders to the ball, requiring the corner defender to rotate up to the wing, while Ware rotates from the paint to contest the corner shooter. Rarely does he miss that assignment. Another key part of Miami's defense is their signature 2-3 zone, and with Ware anchoring the middle, it reaches an entirely new level. His mere presence deters a significant number of shots around the basket, making him a true game changer on the defensive end. If Ware is stationed underneath in Miami's zone, ball handlers are often forced into tougher shot attempts. Take this possession, for example, Ware first positions himself to pick up a cutter, then steps outside the paint to reset the 3-second clock before committing to Hayes in the middle. The Lakers still fail to create an advantage, so Hayes sets a screen for LeBron. Ware remains anchored in the middle of the paint, leaving no space to attack, ultimately forcing a difficult fadeaway jumper. Because Miami's defensive strategy prioritizes keeping Ware near the basket, opposing offenses often look for ways to pull him out of the paint. One common approach is running the offense through their big men, particularly those who can face up and shoot. Ware struggles against specific archetypes, massive post-up players, as he lacks the most solid frame and hybrid wing-like bigs. He isn't particularly fast and has difficulty navigating off-ball screens, making it easier for such players to exploit him. That said, in one-on-one isolation defense, Ware excels when his opponent can't overpower him. This was especially evident against the Spurs when Miami deployed a twin-tower lineup with Bam Adebayo and Ware. Both players switched on every action involving Wembanyama and held their own admirably. Perhaps Ware's most impressive individual defensive performance came against Alperen Sengun and the Rockets. His unique physical attributes were on full display. While not the quickest player, Ware moves his feet well enough to cut off drives and effectively braces his body to absorb contact. From there, his exceptional length does the rest, making him a formidable on-ball defender. Isolations against Ware are rare, as most teams attempt to pull him out of the paint using ball screens. However, more often than not, he remains completely camped out, which can create certain challenges. He primarily plays drop coverage, and it's an extremely deep drop, which can be problematic against certain offensive players. For example, Anthony Simons had a field day against the Heat recently, repeatedly stepping into uncontested pull-up threes. However, against most players, allowing a pull-up jumper is an acceptable trade-off, sometimes even a preferred outcome. Take DeJounte Murray, for instance, since he thrives as a playmaker and slasher, forcing him to settle for jump shots is a defensive win. On the other hand, a player like Fred VanVleet actively hunts for pull-up threes and, in those situations, Ware would likely benefit from stepping up higher to contest the shot. For Ware, development will revolve around finding the right balance, knowing when to stay deep and drop coverage and when to play higher up at the level of the screen. For a rookie, he already shows impressive awareness in this area. One thing that stands out in his defensive film is how rarely, if ever, the roll man gets behind him. In fact, he might not have surrendered a single lob off the pick and roll all season. This becomes even more impressive considering that he often baits the lob pass before quickly dropping back to disrupt it. His exceptional shot-blocking traits, length, verticality, and timing allow him to excel in these situations, where he is able to play the ball while still maintaining position to take away the passing lane. If he commits to defending the ball and the attacker chooses to continue driving, he simply stays attached and protects the rim. Overall, I believe he is already a very effective drop defender, which is a significant asset. The entire premise of drop coverage is to keep the pick and roll a 2-on situation, since the roller rarely gets behind him and he can contest the ball. A third defender seldom needs to help. The advantage for the offense in a pick and roll is the temporary 2-on-1 created by the initial screen. However, if the big man is skilled at defending both the ball handler and the roll man, that advantage diminishes considerably. In Ware's case, he has already accumulated a high number of possessions where he successfully takes away both options simultaneously. As a result, ball handlers struggle to penetrate deep into the paint against him and are often forced into pull-up jumpers, many of which are inefficient long twos, if they attempt to drive anyway, knowing that his primary focus is on preventing the roll. He simply returns to blocking shots in drop coverage. That being said, there are 3 notable areas where he can improve. The first, as previously mentioned, is that he sometimes remains too deep in the paint, allowing high-quality jumpers. The second is his tendency to overcommit to blocking shots. When he fails to make contact, he can end up out of position. The third relates to his lack of lateral speed, particularly when guarding screeners who like to pop out for jumpers. When defending screeners who pop out to the three-point line, Ware can sometimes be a bit slow to contest. The Heat have attempted to counter this tactically by having Ware drop to defend the ball while the point-of-attack defender peel switches onto the big. The potential downside to this strategy is that if the offense resets after getting that switch on to Ware, he is then forced to defend in space, an area where his effectiveness remains uncertain. So far in his brief NBA career, he has rarely had to step out and guard on the perimeter. While I don't expect him to become a switch-heavy big, in the limited instances we have seen, he has done a solid job of moving his feet and using his length to contest shots. There have been flashes of legitimately high-level defense, such as this play against the Bucks, where his man sets a ghost screen and he first plays the ball in a drop before recovering to the perimeter in time to contest a three-pointer. Ware's physical tools are outstanding, his instincts are sharp, and his defensive activity has been impressive. Not even 30 games into his career, I'd already consider him a very good defender with serious all-defensive potential. Offensively, his value is once again tied to his unique physical attributes. Just as his length, timing, and verticality make him an elite shot blocker, they also give him an enormous catch radius as a lob threat. As a result, the Heat often position him along the baseline or in the dunker spot, allowing him to serve as an effective interior target, where provides vertical spacing and is an effective finisher around the rim. When positioned in these spots, he does a great job of moving without the ball to make himself a target. On this play, for example, he flashes to the opposite block as soon as Yick starts his drive, positioning himself for the lob. Combining high basketball IQ with elite physical tools allowed him to generate second-chance opportunities on the glass and convert them into easy points. However, there are 2 key areas he can improve on when operating down low. First, he should make better use of the power dribble when he doesn't have a clear angle to go straight up for a dunk. Creating space underneath the basket would give him higher quality shot opportunities. Second, his shot selection can be questionable at times. He has a tendency to develop tunnel vision, meaning that when he gets the ball in the paint, he's almost always looking to score. This can lead to forced shots, and he would benefit from seeking out kick-out passes more frequently. That said, he often compensates for these tougher attempts with his surprisingly soft touch around the basket. In fact, one could argue that this is his most important offensive skill. While athletic bigs who can play above the rim are common, not many possess the finesse to score over or around strong paint defense with floaters and hook shots. Take this play, for instance. He starts on the perimeter, cuts to the paint, and encounters a rim protector already in position. Instead of forcing a contested layup, he relies on his touch and converts a smooth push shot. His soft touch isn't limited to the paint, it also extends beyond the arc. One of the skills that makes Ware unique is his ability to stretch the floor as a shooter. While he hasn't logged enough minutes to establish a reliable sample size, it's clear that he's comfortable taking three-pointers, even with defenders contesting his shots. Defenses certainly respect him as a shooter, and those that don't quickly learn the hard way. Whether he's spotting up, trailing an early offense, or holding the ball at the top of the key, if defenders fail to step up, he will take and make that shot. As his game develops, the key question will be whether he can leverage that shooting threat to create additional offensive opportunities. There have already been flashes of legitimate ball handling ability, and if he can consistently attack closeouts, he has the potential to become an incredibly versatile offensive weapon. However, at this stage, his handle remains somewhat loose, and he can be indecisive at times, meaning much of this potential is still in the projection phase. Due to his current limitations as an on-ball creator, Ware's offensive role is primarily focused on finishing plays that others initiate. I really like how the Heat utilize him when he shares the floor with Bam Adebayo. Since Bam is the focal point of the primary action, Ware often spots up in the corner, where he is not only a legitimate catch-and-shoot threat, but also an interior presence along the baseline. He has a great feel for cutting into open space and catching lobs, making him a dangerous option off the ball. That said, because he plays most of his minutes as the 5, he is frequently involved in the primary action as well. In these situations, he has proven to be a highly effective pick-and-roll scorer. His immense catch radius as a lob threat particularly stands out in two-man actions, where Miami's ball handlers instinctively throw high passes that only he can reach. And finish, just look at this play. Even Amen Thompson, with all his vertical athleticism, can't get to this pass. Then, when Ware comes down with the ball, he smartly goes to that power dribble, absorbs contact, and finishes for to plus the foul. Of course, Ware isn't just a lob threat, he also has the ability to space the floor. If a defense overcommits to stopping the lob, he can just as easily pop into open space for a high-quality 3. However, the primary pick-and-roll ball handlers for the Heat are three-point threats first and foremost. They often draw to defenders to the ball, creating 4-on-3 advantages, which means a lot of Ware's touches come in the short roll. If he catches the ball with space to take off, the play is as good as over. There are very few weak side defenders who can challenge his shot at the rim. That said, if the weak side help arrives early and he doesn't have room to elevate, we see perhaps his biggest offensive flaw: a lack of extra passing. He often opts to try and score through traffic rather than making the simple pass. While he gets away with some of these tougher shots because of his elite finishing ability, there are definitely situations where a kick-out or dump-off pass would be the better option. This is an area of his game that I'll be watching closely as he develops. The final aspect of his offensive growth that intrigues me is his ability to punish mismatches in the post. On plays where he receives the ball in the short roll with his back to the basket, his effectiveness as a post scorer could ultimately determine his offensive ceiling. So far, we haven't seen him operate in the post much, but as his game evolves, this could be a key area of improvement. We have seen a few key takeaways so far. First, it is clear that he struggles to establish or maintain deep post position, as he does not have the type of frame to dominate physically down low. As a result, his game largely relies on scoring over the top. However, he already possesses a solid set of moves, often utilizing turnaround fadeaways or jump hooks, and he has the touch to make them effective. A high-end projection for this aspect of his game would be similar to Miles Turner's ceiling off-post position for quick scoring moves over the top while making it difficult for defenses to switch smaller players onto him. Looking at his overall offensive game, he already excels as a lob threat, both in the dunker spot and out of the pick-and roll. He is also a highly effective interior finisher, and with improvements in his power dribble and shot selection, he could become one of the best in the league. There are three key areas where he could elevate his game to the next level: decision-making, particularly on the perimeter; passing, especially out of short roll or deep catch situations; and attacking mismatches in the low post more effectively. While he may never develop into a primary creator, his combination of size, athleticism, and touch is rare. With the right adjustments and continued development, he could become an elite off-ball weapon. Pairing that with his defensive potential creates a true two-way talent with legitimate all-star upside and possibly the biggest steal of last year's NBA draft. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay updated with more content. For more in-depth analysis, check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles, which you can find in the description. Let me know in the comments what you think about him. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you in the next one.